Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this planet of ours. My name is Sruda Aglago. Thank you for tuning in to Love, Forgive, Live podcast. It's a great evening, or like I said, depending on where you are on this planet, it may be different for you. My podcast today, or what I'm going to talk about today, is very exciting. I hardly ever talk about this. It popped in my mind this week, and I started reading my notes, and I was like, oh yeah, I think my audience might like this. So I thought we should talk about this. But before I jump on that, I hope you guys have gone to check out my children's book, Polar Kiss, on Amazon. It's a great little book. There's a little lesson in there for children and help empower them to ask for what they need from their family, from parents. And it's a great way for children to get confident about what they know or what they believe they know, because kids come up with some amazing concepts, and I get very excited about children. I'm sure you can tell the excitement in my voice. I've worked with children for, almost 14 years, because I had a small business when I was going to grad school. And prior to going to grad school, I used to own a small business helping parents or empowering parents to take the reign of taking care of their kids. So I would go and coach parents regarding their newborn babies, and I leave tips and information before I go away, so then parents feel like very informed and strong and feel like, yeah, we can do this. It's very important to me to make sure that my clients, both children and parents, feel amazing that they can do this, and it's possible for them to do what they need to do, and they can never fail, because guess what? Every mistake is not a failure. Rather, it's a lesson that teaches them that, hey, last time I tried this way, it didn't work. This time, I'm going to do it a little differently and see how it works. And then figure out the next time they try it, it works. And they're like, hoo, I got to figure it out. Yes. So for me, children are very, very important to me. I love any age, my goodness, even newborns. They just give me so much love. I love holding on to newborns and being quiet and just listening to their breathing. Strangely enough, almost every child I hold, whether I know them or not, I fall in love with the babies. There's a moment, or a magical moment, that happens when I'm quiet in the silence of just listening to them breathe and listening to my own breathing. Something powerful takes place. I call it the moment of love, where that quiet moment where the silence and just breathing and being calm, something happens. I don't know about you, but it's an amazing thing to me. I wrote a poem about it. I'll read it to you next time. I didn't print it out to read. This children's thing just so happened. I was just talking about a kid's book, and I tried to explain more about why I do that. I love, love, love children, and I find it's really exciting to be around them and then create. And when I'm around children, I become extremely creative and just at peace with myself. And when I do that, nothing can top that. So writing children's stories is very important to me. I get more excited about that than anything. And this particular book took a while for me to put it together, and found an amazing illustrator who did an amazing job. So please go check it out on Amazon. When you go to Amazon.com, you type in children's book, Polar Kiss, and you go straight to the page and then get your copy. If you know any children, you work with children, get that book. And of course, if your parents or your cousins are parents, your family are parents, your sisters, brothers, please do get the book for them, or tell them to go and get the book and share the book. So anyways, that's my little PSA on children's book that I write. I'm working on the second edition of my very first children's book, which is called Army of Angels Watching Over Me. That book, we are reviewing it and doing a second edition. So as soon as I'm done doing the second edition, I will definitely make sure that we upload it on Amazon, and I'll let everybody know about it too. So please bear with me and we will get there. Anyways, without further ado, today's topic, I'm going to talk about two very poignant personality traits. And I believe those are the two personality traits that we have in our world. You're either one or the other. And I'm sure listening to this, you're going to be thinking, what? With all these people on the planet, there's only two? It's so important to recognize these two opposing personality traits where we begin to understand that, wow, you're one or the other. And when I'm finished describing it or telling you what it is, you'll be able to understand, wow, this is important. One of them is, the topic is on internal locus of control. Let me explain again. Locus of control, okay, is how people process how life happens to them or how they happen to deal with life. That means there's two types, okay? People are, like I said, they're either one or the other, but one I really get excited about is that the overall name is the locus of control, okay? The locus of control is important because it helps guide how you process life. You either have life happen to you or you have something to do with life. Those two process. Now there's two types. There's internal locus of control, and the second one is external locus of control. There's two types. Internal locus of control. Let me spell it. Internal, that's when everybody knows that spelling. Locus is L-O-C as in cat, U-S as in Sunday, control. So the first one is internal locus control. The second one is external locus of control. Okay? Now, let me describe or give you the definition of the first one. Internal locus of control, the basic principle of that is this. You make life happen to you. If things happen, what do you do with that? How do you process that internally in your mind? What do you do with that? Okay? Number two, I'll go on and describe all this later, but I'm just giving you the basics of the two headings. Number two is external locus of control. External locus of control comes this way. Like the simplest or the basics of this is this. You believe that everything external controls your life. Everything outside of you makes your life happen, so you have no choice. And it's all happening to you. Basically, the outside, the external, controls you. And you have no say. So those are the two. Now I'm going to talk about each subsection alone and then jump on to the next one. So the first one, which is internal locus of control, this is how you're going to know which one you are. These are individuals who internalize events and problems that happen to them. No matter what it is, they internalize it. And when they internalize it, this is what happens. That is, they tend to think and process what happened to them and often even ask questions. Did I have anything to do with this? Was I at fault? How could I have prevented it? Is there any way I could have prevented it? Did I have a choice? And if so, what choice was that be? What choice would I have made? Those are the dialogue that they have, internal dialogue they're having in their head. And I don't know who you are and where your thinking is, but I'll tell you one thing. I am one of those people. I will dialogue with myself and ask questions and questions and questions and break things out, analyze, and then find out how could I have contributed to this problem? Did I have anything to do with this? Was it at any point where I could have made a different choice? Because through that, that's how you learn. That's how you begin to recognize your responsibility in any situation. So these individuals do that. And also they process another thing. They also ask questions like this. They understand that what they're going through is there a solution to this problem? Is there a solution? Or can they make a decision to bring this to a peaceful place? Is there anything that they can do to bring them to a place of understanding that it is okay and they can make a better choice next time? This is what the internal-locus control individual does. And if they're not able to come up with something, they will ruminate on it and keep thinking and working at it and analyzing until they find it. Okay? And these individuals tend to have difficulty focusing. Believe me, it took a lot of work for me to learn to manage my own thinking, my own thought process, and focus on what I'm doing and become much more resilient in understanding that the stuff that are coming at me, I could have prevented some of them, and not all of them, but a lot of them I could have had a lot of insight in getting that done. So figure out which one you are. And like I said, these individuals tend to have difficulty focusing on anything, or especially when it comes to productivity. They come and they will become preoccupied with finding out the best possible way to attain peace, to manage the situation for themselves, not for anybody else. They're not interested in controlling anybody but themselves. They're usually understanding that they cannot control anybody but themselves. Their life is in their hands, and they are the only ones that can manage it. Okay. They also end up having, these individuals will also do things like, they're usually pretty open-minded. They're the fairly open-minded individuals. They're reasonable, kind, thoughtful, and always fair. Fairness is very important to them, because if they're not fair, it really almost tortures them to know that they were not fair to another individual. And they tend to blame themselves. This is the other thing. They blame themselves when things happen and say they are the ones that did it and they're wrong, and how they're the ones that went wrong. And then they try to figure out how best to solve it, how best to make this better so it doesn't happen again. So it's all about the self-examination, self-motivation to create a peaceful existence within ourselves, within what you do and how you relate to people. And these individuals, I think it's very important to mention this, they strive to create and maintain peace, like I've mentioned before, at all times. And they're pleasant. They're usually pleasant to live with, and they tend to be more, how do I say this? They're good listeners, because they know that everybody has their own stuff that they bring into the table. So it's very important. And of course, dealing with someone who has internal-locus control, it's important to recognize that they're highly sensitive in terms of listening to themselves and how they can live a life of, let me put it this way. They can live a life of cooperating with everybody. Because cooperation means peace. Cooperation means a well-adjusted society to them. Okay? Now, my interpretation on external locus of control, these individuals are very interesting. Like I said before when I was describing the two, to them, life happens to them. The simplest way to put it is the outside, or they control me. Everything on the outside control me. And usually when my clients come and they fit in this mold, I usually ask this simple question. So are you telling me you don't have a mind? Is that what I'm hearing? That anyone at any point could come and push your button and you will react. So you don't know how to control any other buttons because you're not in control of it. And it's all somebody else's responsibility and fault to press it. And that, usually when I ask that, they go like, no, I don't, no, that's not me. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So that is the external locus of control. Those are the individuals that deflect, and says it's always somebody else's fault. Because as far as they're concerned, they're not in control of anything. So anything that happens, it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the outside. And they will blame, point fingers, and make sure that the problems and situation are solved by another person. It's not their responsibility. They just will be in a situation where they're very rigid. And believe me, because they believe in the sense of the external locus of control, meaning someone is controlling them, it's very hard to convince them otherwise and say no. Actually, sometimes I find it's even draining to try and argue with someone who tends to have an external locus of control personality, because they believe this, they've convinced themselves and believe this so much. They're often quite rigid in their thought process, in behavior, and everything they do. So approaching someone like that, you're not going to do it lightly and try and think you can change them. Actually, you can't. You cannot change them. Only they have to decide, maybe this is not exactly working for me. Maybe I might have a choice in this. Okay? And that needs to come from the individual within. Okay? Because, like I said, they're rigid in their ideals and their belief system. They do not allow themselves to be open-minded to learn other things. Unless they are ready to learn it, then they learn it themselves. But it's not something that an external force can tell, even though they believe the outside controls them. They will not allow the outside to change their mind about what they believe. It's a very rigid personality trait. And of course, their experience is what their experience is. They believe it wholeheartedly. They're not going they're not going to allow you to just change that for them. Living with these individuals can be very challenging. It can be quite challenging, and you would have to be an individual who has to learn to be patient, because there is tasking. Okay, they're not willing to do anything to help when you need them to cooperate with you because they will stand on their belief system and what they know and what they believe. And even sometimes they may even dialogue and say everything is somebody's fault and come up with proof within their mind. Within that dialogue, create scenarios in their mind and begin to understand behavior patterns that they believe as proof that someone is the person creating the problem for them, and then come up with, how do I put it this way? They will even come up with how the person responds to the scenario they have, and then turn around and say the scenario that they created fits what that person is doing, and say that's who that person's belief and that's their behavior and what they're doing. Even though the other individual is not doing any of that, but they'll be convinced and project that they are very good at this. Project that on another person. Okay? And insist that is what the person is thinking and doing and believing and is willing to do. And usually those who are not that type of personality, when they hear this person projecting on them and insisting and arguing and putting that on the person and say, but that's what you do, that's what you did. And the person said, when did I ever do that? I never said that. But then they will turn around and say, well, that's what you understand, that's what you mean, right? That's what you mean. They will put it on you. And believe me, I've seen these personalities. And it's bizarre. They will dialogue in their head, create a scenario, and believe that that's what you behave, and then put it on you. And when you say you're not, they would insist. Because guess what? This is what it is. They need you to fit what they've created in their mind and the scenario they've created to fit that puzzle for them. So they are willing to convince you, believe me. I'm sure the rest of you are listening and say, huh? Yes, I'm sure. And if you take the time to think, you will notice you've met these personalities, you've seen them, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. Aha moment. And they'll put it on you. They will project, and argue and say and be. They will insist that you are that. No arguments with that. You can't argue with that out of them. And usually when I see those kind of personalities and they're insisting based on their dialogue and saying that's who I am and what I believe and what I'll react and all that, I just sit back. I don't argue. And this is the thing. Don't argue with them. So I just sit back and look and I'm like, okay. You know you're not that. You know you're not doing that, and you know that's not who you are. But if they're insisting, you can't change your mind anyways. You can't control them. Remember, you can only control you. So what do? Sit back, watch them, let them do their thing, say nothing. And if you feel like you must say nothing, be like, oh, okay. Agree to disagree. It's a great way to get along with these people. Don't argue. Just agree to disagree and have your peace. Because what is the point of arguing with these individuals? And so it's very important to manage yourself. And because the conclusion they make from their own dialogue, from their own scenario, in their mind, will never fit you, but they'll believe they can. So the best thing is, I stay quiet. I don't bother. Okay, I don't bother. The other thing these personalities also do is this: they will blame. Listen, even a simple thing as having an apology, they will blame the person that they need to apologize for. They will say it's the person's fault. It's because of them something happened. And so this literally the apology is that they are sorry that you made them do that to hurt you. Believe I have heard this before. I have heard this before. And then usually when it happens, then the people that is happening to, they're explaining it. And I sometimes listen and I have my mouth open, my eyes are open wide, and my mouth is open. I'm like, huh? What? Yeah, but someone with an external locus of control believe this and do it. And they would insist after a while, you may start believing maybe you did have something to do with yourself being hurt by this person. And it's bizarre, but these are the rub of those things. And I find it sometimes funny. And these individuals are extremely tense emotionally, and sometimes I see them having like emotional outbursts where it's very hard to be around them. I always say, if you deal with the emotional outbursts, learn to walk around it. Basically, trying to avoid the hidden line minds that you're not aware of, but they put them there and expecting you to read their mind. And then you happen to step on it, and then they explode. One of my friend used to tell me, she said, it's like walking on pins and needles. And I'm like, yep. And it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to deal with these. And of course, like I always say, do not argue with these individuals because you will not win. You will not win because their idea is they come loaded with proof of how to blame you and put you in your place of the one causing the problem for them. Let me tell you, I've seen it. I've been in an accident once when somebody clearly was in the wrong and was arguing with me and insisting they had the right of way. Meanwhile, according to the law and the traffic rules, they were dead wrong. But they got upset and said, well, you knew the law. I didn't know it, and you knew it. Then why didn't you apply the law and do the right thing? And it's like, usually when that happens, I'm like, my hands are in the air. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. No, I can't. And of course, if they do something bad to you, to hurt you, and then you decide, here's a grub. You decide to match what they just did or mirror what they just did and redirect where you do the same thing they did. Guess what they will tell you? So is this tit for tat? And I'm like, wait, you just did that. And that person decided to repeat what you did so you can feel it. Then they go, oh, so that means if I do something, you do it too. They don't take the responsibility and say, oh, wow. They wouldn't look at it this way, that, I guess I was wrong to treat you that way. I was wrong to behave that way. I'm sorry. No, that will not come out. They would turn around and say, oh, so if I do it, that means you do it too? So is that how you're going to be? Just because I do something, you're going to repeat the same thing? They will not look at it and say, maybe I should correct this and not do this so that you won't feel the need to do that to show me that what I did was wrong. No. And then when it happens, you're like, huh? What? One of my friends, she always goes, I have scratched my head so much. I think my scalp is bruised because things get flipped on me so much that I'm like, wait, I don't understand. How did this flip on me? And anytime that happens, I burst out laughing. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what personality that is. And it's just, it's cute to hear people's shock. And then when I explain it, and they're like, oh my God, so I wasn't crazy. No, you're not. It's just that that's who you're dealing with. You got to learn. But the most important thing I wanted to share is this. The external locus of control is very interesting. But how, it occurred to me, one of my friends asked this, how do you deal with them? I'm like this. 1, do not argue with them. Number 2, trying to convince them that your perception is correct will never happen. Stop waiting for it. Stop trying to change these individuals to fit your ideals, because it's not going to happen. Number 3, allow yourself to understand that if you choose to have a relationship with these individuals, it's not going to be easy for you. Allow yourself to understand that if you choose to have a relationship with these people or these personality traits, external locus of control, is not going to be easy. You're either with it or you don't. If you have the patience and the self-understanding to understand who they are and how they operate, it's important. That's key. You must be able to understand. If you cannot, make a choice to exit quick, because it'll literally almost make you sick, because you find yourself stressed, angry, and wanting to fight to convince them. Like I said, it's not going to work. You're not going to try and convince them otherwise. So leave it alone. If you have any hope of them changing, it has to come from them. They would have to realize and decide, hey, I'm always this rigid. Could it be possible that there could be another way? Maybe I should learn the other way and try and figure out how best to work with who I am to make it happen. Number 4. Figure out what is more important to you, your peace of mind or learning to constantly navigate where the pins and needles are or where the landmine is. Can you handle that? If you can, some people have amazing patience, they can, and they recognize that it's not about them. So they just live with it and they're like, well, it is, so it's not a big deal to get upset. And it takes a certain level of strength and understanding to know that you can always go inside yourself and stay calm. Work on you and be at peace with you. Because when you're at peace with you and these people are coming at you, sometimes you just laugh and watch them do the dance. I have someone say individuals with external locus control would do a mental gymnastics to twist things around to fit what they've created in their mind and belief to match everyone's ideas. And it won't make sense to anybody, but to them it does, because they've done an amazing feat of mental gymnastics to make that happen. And believe me, they think nothing of it. And it is what it is. And it feels good to them, and that's it. Number 5, be prepared to deal with the emotional outbursts, the constant, sometimes rage, because you are not seeing things the way they are seeing things, and they want things from their perspective to be seen by everybody. They really believe this. So if you can handle all that, kudos to you. I think it's amazing to do that. Because you're going to have to figure out that the person with the external locus of control has difficulty in applying their problem-solving skills. Problem-solving skills is a rare thing for them. It's very difficult. Because remember, it's deflect, avoid, and it's not their problem because it's other people's problem. It's other people causing the problem for them, and everybody's coming at them. They're the victim. They are the victim. No matter what the situation may be, however it may be, somebody made me do it, somebody came at me, somebody did it to me, it's their fault. So you will have them do some incredibly cruel things, mean things, and they would turn around and say, it's the other person's fault. They made that happen. They made me do that. They did this because they did this and then I did this, so it's their fault. It's their ones that, like I always say, their buttons, according to them, are being pressed by the outside. And if you tell them, well, where's the button? And how did the button get there? Can you decide to cover the button and not allow people to see it or touch it? It's just difficult. And it's got to be, everything else is on the other side. So it's important to recognize all these things and see how best this fits into your own life, if you can do it. Oh, the other thing is this. You have to be prepared that communication is not going to be the clearest thing for this individual. So break things down in a calmer way. Don't accuse, because they will come at you. Because communication is not their strongest forte. Okay? I hope today's talk was helpful and interesting and made you learn something. And I hope it's valuable. If it's not, let me know. Anyways, my name is Shroda Aglago. I hope you got the talk about the internal locus of control, external locus of control, and locus of control is the two personality traits that I believe. And, you can do the research and read more on it. We live in the technology age, and you can always go and read up on this. That's why I gave you the spelling, so you can go and read more on the personality traits, or you'll probably find it under personality psychology. I studied this in a little bit on my undergrad, but mostly in my grad school. I studied this and became aware of, oh my gosh, that explains a lot of things and a lot of people that I come in contact with. So, and of course, it explains where I fit in and where, I remember my professor was having a discussion in class, and then I asked her a question, and she said, well, let me ask you, young lady, which one are you? And I was like, I wasn't sure. I was so confused. I didn't even know how I would know which one I am. And then she started asking me a bunch of questions, and I said, oh, no, that's me. Oh, no, I can't blame anybody. And then she said, well, so yours is internal locus of control. You're very, that means you're very sensitive. You tend to take everything into account, and you do a lot of thinking, don't you? And I was like, yes, I do a lot of thinking. Sometimes it's exhausting. And she said, well, you know what? I think that's what makes you you. You like to think and come up with your own understanding of what you're dealing with. And she said, I wish more people would think that way and take the time to learn and give themselves opportunity to come up with a logical way. But hey, not everybody is the same. And she said, I recognize that. So we talked, and I was like, oh, this cleared it for me. And I became aware of which personality trait I have. So it was nice to learn that. I hope this, like I said, was helpful for you guys. Those of you who listen on YouTube, like and follow us. And of course, I should say, subscribe to our YouTube channel. The YouTube is broken down in this way. 3 15-minute segments where the podcast is divided that way. So then you can listen to one time when you have time, and then another time you can listen to the other 15, and then, the third one you can listen to. I had a girlfriend who said, it's easier for her that way, that she doesn't have to listen to all of it at once because she doesn't have time to listen. And I was like, okay, hey, do you, whatever is working. So that is available for people on YouTube. It's under the name Love, Forgive, Live still. If you go on Twitter, the whole thing is uploaded for 45 minutes that you can listen to that. It's also on Amazon Music. If you go to Amazon Prime, you'll be able to get more information on it. And just go in there and put Love, Forgive, Live podcast, and you'll be able to hear us. We are on Spotify, and under the same name, Love, Forgive, Live. You should be able to get it there. The other thing is, you can also get us on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. When you go to Spreaker.com, you can also see our podcast there and, of course, listen to it. I believe we're on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. We're working on other places that we can put our information, so you can always go in there and then learn and listen and, of course, get empowered. But aside from that, I love doing this. I think this is great. I love talking, so I get to talk about what I'm passionate about and humanity and all that we do. My goal is to empower, encourage, and, of course, motivate. And sometimes I even inspire. So I hope everybody has a great plan for Christmas, the holiday, the Hanukkah. I don't know, if I haven't mentioned your type of holiday, forgive me. I try to learn a little bit at a time. And so have fun, enjoy your family and everybody. And those who want to write to me, the email is love, LUV, 4, give, GIVE, live, LIVE, at gmail.com. Love, give, live, at gmail.com. Go ahead and talk to me through email and let me know if this helped you, and if you need me to talk about something or has a question or something you want me to address for you, definitely send me the email. The other thing I want you to know too is that if I'm talking about something you're not clear, go ahead, email me and I'll definitely address it and let you know. So don't forget to get your book, the children's book, Polar Kiss, on Amazon.com. Thank you very much. I will do a live stream on Tuesday, the 22nd of December. And I'll discuss a little bit of this topic there for only 15 minutes, nothing more than that, 15 to 20 minutes, and that's it. And sometimes I talk about something else in addition. So great. Thank you all, and have a great week, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and enjoy your week.